Hey everybody, Sam Caporn here. So it's the start of a new year. I've just had another lot of young horses come in, and I'm pretty inspired with a few different concepts that I would really like to share. And we're going to post a few more videos on our Facebook page over the next few months. So stay tuned. Hope to bring you some really cool information and some things that may help you and things that have definitely helped me. So I thought I'd start with our first video of the year right at the top. And we're going to talk a little bit today about buying horses, or what to look for when you go out to find a horse. Now, I have a few students that are in the performance side of things, but I have a big majority of students in the recreational side of horsemanship. And they're often in positions where they're trying to transition to a slightly better, more like higher quality type of horse, and they're always not quite sure where to start. So what I thought we'd just do today was to have a look at all these, just a few little points here, which I'm going to show you on the board in a moment, that might give you a bit of a filter on how to start the process of thinking about buying or going to find your next horse. Now, I realise that a lot of people have preferences on breeds and styles and looks and types, and I've got ones particularly that I favour myself. I often give people a bit of curry about the types of horses that they choose to go out and find. Like, I'm a bit renowned for mocking the Friesians, only just out of a bit of fun though, calling them glorified cart horses and things like that. But everybody has a breed type and a style that they really prefer. This is more about what to look for in general, rather than is me going, you should go and buy this. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to show you the board here, and I'm going to give you a bit of a filter which I would use to kind of go out and look for the next style of horse that I would want for myself, and maybe this can give you some ideas for you. So we're just going to come over here, and what we're going to do is just going to have a little look at a few structures here, okay? So when you're talking about caliber of horses, if you think about it like this, you've got AAA, AA, A, B, C, and D. Now, for myself, I grew up not on any fault of the horses, but just around the horses that I sort of was brought up on was more of like a C grade type of a horse. So when I saw a B grade horse, and on either side of this you can have plus and minus as well, like a B plus, B minus. If I grew up around C grade horses, when I saw a B grade horse or even an A minus horse, I was in awe of thinking how much better those horses were in terms of athleticism, trainability, nature, all those sorts of things. What in this day and age with the global access through the internet and everything like that, it's really important that you start having a look at what AAA quality horses really are like. The hard part with a lot of these horses now, they're in either the 7 figures or at least in the 6-figure bracket. I mean, we're talking big money for horses that are in this lot. And a lot of people might not ever have the potential or the opportunity to own AAA horses, but it's trying to make sure that you give yourself an opportunity. And for me as an instructor, I'd love to see a lot more of my students riding slightly better horses that are going to allow their progress to happen quicker. But making sure that if they're going to put the effort in and really go out and try to find a nice horse, that you're at least trying to go up a stage, okay? So I thought I'd seen some really amazing A horses or A plus quality horses, and then through my travels at Equitana and going through the States and being involved a bit in the racing industry when I was younger, when you see AAA level horses, that's an amazing difference in all of those attributes that we're going to talk about now. So you might not be able to get to that in your lifetime, but just start thinking about trying to increase going up a standard as your education and your ambition and your talent and feel and all that increases, that you're looking to increase the quality that you can get into or afford to step up. So that's all well and good knowing that these are there, but it's now looking at when you go out to find a horse or to purchase a horse, that these are like the 4 aces, like in a pack of cards basically. I've got these 4 for me are the ones that I go out and, if I was to help someone find a horse or look for one myself, is that I would kind of go in this order. Now, I've gone back and forward a little bit between 2 and 3 being in that position, but I'll explain why 2's there now. So the first thing is working out what breed is a type that suits you for what you're going to do. And then once you understand what breed it is that you're looking for, then study their pedigree. Try to find out what the best line or lineage in that horse's breed that you could afford or that you could find to suit what it is that you really want. So first and foremost, make sure that you know what breed it is you want, and then try to put some effort into studying that pedigree. Online, there's some stud books that are available now that you can go in and you can find, really prolific stallions and the mares that have produced great horses, and trying to find some relationship or relations to those horses that you think that you might suit you or that you could use to kind of advance where you're at. So when we're talking about breed types, rather than me saying to you, this is the breed that I think you should go for, I want to put them into these 4 categories. There's horses that have evolved and are genetically inclined to be more of a walking breed, more of a trotting breed, more of a cantering breed, and therefore more of a gaited breed, or what they would call perambulating horses. So horses that have a different gait to horses in these categories. So when we talk about walking breeds, things like your much big, heavier type draft horses, so your Shires, your Belgiums, some of your Fjords, they're a little bit of a smaller style of horse. The Suffolk Punches that come out of England, these are horses that have been bred to have a lot of torque. And what I mean by a lot of torque is a lot of pulling power, but not very much forward and not very much engagement in their gaits above the walk. Okay? Lovely horses, but they're going to be inclined to be more walking bred. Then you come into your trotting type breeds. So you've got your Clydesdales, you got Halflingers, your Friesians. Now, even in the Arabians, there's a few different lines. There's I'm not a real expert in the Arabians, but I know that there's Egyptian lines and there's different Indian lines and stuff of Arabians, and some of them are more inclined to trot than they are to canter. Now, these make great ridden horses as well. Traditionally, had been more versatile farm horses, plough type horses. But if you start to recognise that those breeds are going to be more trotting inclined, you're going to have more challenges to get them to canter and gallop and lead change and things like that. Doesn't mean that they can't, but knowing straight off the bat with the breed that you've selected that what they're going to be more naturally apt to be able to do. Then you shift to your cantering breeds. You got your quarter horses, you got your stock horses, you got your thoroughbreds, most of the warm bloods. Some of the warm bloods fit into this category, like the Halflingers, the Hanoverians. They were originally a descendant of Percherons and thoroughbreds and lots of different crosses, and they were more of a harness bred horse originally, and they've slowly evolved them into more of a cantering breed. But if you like cantering, you like covering ground, you like horses that are a little bit more rangy. What I mean by rangy is they've got a little bit more leg and a little bit less girth and width and frame. These kind of breeds are going to fit into the cantering quadrant. They're going to trot fairly well, but their natural cadence is going to want to be here. Then you got your gaited breeds. You're talking about standard breds, which are our most common gaited breed here in Australia. But Morgans have got variations of gaits in them. The Icelandic pony, Tennessee walkers, Missouri foxtrotters. You guys have seen, I'm sure you've seen different varieties of breed types that are gaited. If you like that in a horse, that's great. Then just start to find out the pedigree or the quality of pedigree in that breed that you feel would be, the most athletic in that gait, in that sort of breed type is what I should say. So I could probably go into more detail about all of these, but it's really interesting when people come along to a clinic and they get a little bit frustrated with the horse that they've got, that they're struggling to maintain gait in the canter, and they're struggling to do lots of lateral manoeuvres because the majority of the breed type that they've got are trotting breeds. And then they've crossed a trotting breed with a walking breed, and they're trying to put a lot of emphasis on getting a horse to canter. So when we go out looking, make sure that you don't automatically, which is what we're going to talk about last, is pick a horse on look and style and realise that the breed doesn't maybe suit me as much as what I intended to. And if you're anything like me, when you've purchased a horse and you build a bit of a relationship with them, even though you feel like you might be a bit limited on where you can go, you tend to want to hang on to them and invest the time into them and put a lot of energy and effort in because you like them and you care for them. So the important part is to start off with a horse that you really, really like and you really feel can take you a long way by making this your first choice. The second choice is then making sure that you're looking at conformation and soundness. Now, I won't go into detail specifically on conformation or soundness. There's a lot of information out there now that you can actually research these particular topics. Find the breed that you like. Look for the pedigree that's been successful or kind of has a type that you is renowned for being, solid and a good nature. Then you start going, right, now I'm going to study the conformation of that particular breed. One of the things that I've noticed come up in the last decade or so where conformation faults kick in is when people are breeding horses that have got really long pastons, much straighter in the stifle and in the hock, and then they're crossing them with a horse that's got really long stifle, like a really long pastons and a much more bent over in the hock and all the way up through to the stifle. One of them's got a flat hip joint. The other one's got much more tilt to the hip. One breed's got a lower headset, naturally the way the head comes out of the rib cage. The other one's got a high headset, and they cross these, and sometimes you get horses that are not a very good sound and conformational mesh, because people will go, oh yeah, I know that the Clydesdale goes great with a thoroughbred. Sometimes it works great. Other times the joint conformation is too different for these breeds, and you find that the horse is struggling a bit with his soundness as he gets older. So start to look at the conformation of the breed type that you like and get to know what's a good type of conformation for that breed. Then soundness, always important, just to make sure that you're having the horse either checked or examined before you make the purchase, because there's so many times people have picked a lovely bred horse, very trainable, they're really, really getting on great with the horse, and all of a sudden he gets to 7, 8, 10 years old and he starts breaking down, and it's really disheartening when you've put in all of that time and effort to get a horse to a certain level and then their body can't hold up. And also learning how to train the horse in a way that increases soundness, stability, balance, all those sorts of things. But get familiar with that once you've made your selection from stage 1. That's 2. Now stage 3. Now you want to start going, right, I found a horse that I like about all of those. Start looking for trainability. How willing is the horse? How eager is the horse to perhaps show up to learn? How soft are they to try? How little do they have opposition and fight and flight in them? Now, I'm not telling you that to dismiss any horses that are like that, but try to pick your partner and not your poison. Sometimes people learn a bit of horsemanship and then they actually go out, start looking for difficult horses to try to prove their method is working, that they can change. And a few years down the track, they've still got 3 or 4 horses in the pasture, which are still challenging, which are still very difficult for the level that the students are at to keep progressing. So start looking for trainability. That's something that you'll just start to feel when you give yourself permission to go and have a look and try out a couple of different horses. Then the next thing is the horse's personality or horsenality. You guys can research different elements of this as well. You're looking for ones that are more maybe confident by nature or more sensitive by nature. This will determine what you like more. Are they more extroverted and playful and exuberant and maybe inclined to do more liberty and freestyle? Or have you got a horse that's a little bit more introverted that you like, that's more consistent and quieter and stable? These are the sorts of things that you want to start to consider once you've looked at these. The reason I'm putting this in this order is because people tend to go 4, 3, 2, 1 when they go out looking for a horse. So try to keep the reversed order from maybe what you've seen typically or what you've fallen in the trap of. Trainability, and then start to look at the horse's natural characteristics. And are they something that you initially think is going to be fun and playful, and in 6 months' time you're thinking, man, I got this horse that's super, super high energy, he's very sensitive, I can only ride him once a month, and he probably could do with playing with 3 or 4 times a week. So making sure that you're selecting a nature. You guys can ask more questions about this category, or just generally find ways to do a bit more research to understand this number 3. Now this one's fairly simple. Number 4 is now look and style. Now you've got those sorts of things together. Look at it and go, is this a horse that I find attractive? Is it a horse that I'm drawn to in terms of colour and look and got a nice eye? The way that it just fits together, is its conformation attractive? And then the style in the way that it carries itself and the way that it moves. This is the easiest one. Most people go out, they go, oh, I've seen this, I've driven past this paddock and there's this black horse out there and he's got, love heart on his forehead. He's absolutely beautiful. They go in and they ask if they can purchase the horse, and someone says, sure, I've been looking forward to getting rid of that thing for years. And before they know it, the trainability is a challenge, the conformation's a challenge. They've bought a breed that didn't really suit what they wanted to do, but they've fallen in love with how the horse looks. This is important, but try to keep it down the bottom of your order of importance to where eventually you've got all your 4 aces together and you're ready to start the long process of developing that horse. So there's just a few ideas for you. And the reason I'm emphasizing this is because it does take a long time to develop a horse. It takes a lot of energy, it takes a lot of effort. And as students of mine and for myself, as my level increases, I'm trying to find horses that increase their capability. Increase my capability, and I can increase their capability with athleticism and the things that I'm asking them to do, making sure that their body's sounder as I get asked for a bit more effort, things like that. And it takes quite a while to develop a horse anyway. So try to develop one that you really like and that you know is going to be good for your future and something that you're going to feel is going to help your progression and keep you motivated. Because if you've got a horse that you're struggling a bit with, or you get a bit frightened of, or you constantly feel like is working a little against you, you'll lose motivation to go out and play with your horses. So here's a few ideas. All the best on the next thought about purchasing or going to find your next partner. Thanks.